Let's pick names. Maybe the pronoun if we need it.
Clementine, she, her.
For some reason, I'm thinking of Roman names. Augustus.
The cowboys would call that Augie, short for Augustus.
Sheriff of
Do you have an adjective to go along with Springs?
Jazzy.
Jazzy Springs? I like it.
And where you hail from?
I'm a gold prospector that grew up in Jazzy Springs.
I probably came later. Doesn't have as much ties to the local area as you do.
Okay.
Water rights battle. I'll be player one. It was a time of internal conflict.
We stand upon a dry riverbed.
I remember when you fought for the right side.
This feud started when you followed your orders from the governor.
My name is Augustus. I'm the sheriff of Jazzy Springs, and I cannot allow your actions to go unchallenged.
My name is Clementine, prospector, and I cannot allow your actions to go unchallenged.
Chapter 1, about how we were friends. Pick our objective that we want to achieve in this chapter without telling the other person. And we will try to have the scene taking place in one location.
All right, I've chosen.
Let's establish general area. Do we want Nevada?
Sure.
Another hot day in the Nevada barren land. Today, the new sheriff of Jazzy Springs comes to inspect the rivers that runs near the town, see the work of prospectors, checking how business is doing for everyone. She dismounts. They maybe had met each other in the taverns before when she's just doing her usual rounds, and she had already introduced herself as the new sheriff. Maybe you bought her a beer?
Of course, yeah, like any good townsfolk would.
And now she's just checking up on you, saying, have you had any luck today, Ems?
Sheriff Augie, I haven't had any luck today. I've been here for 5 hours this morning and haven't found anything. What are you doing out here? We don't see you out here by the river very often.
Just want to make sure you're not getting harassed by the drunks.
The drunks have been staying off my case pretty well, but there's a mountain lion on the other side of the river that we've been seeing signs of. I don't know if the sheriff is in the mountain lion hunting business, but while you're out here, maybe you could take a look.
I'll be right on that. But maybe you would want to take a break as well?
Oh, sure. Yeah, if you have some water, or I don't know if it's too early for you to start drinking some ale.
Still on the clock. But here, have some water.
Great, thank you.
I don't suppose this river is safe to drink nowadays. All these gold finding business.
No, I don't think so. Knowing where my boots have been, I've been stepping in that water. I wouldn't want to drink it.
The town's water supply is getting dicey, if you know what I mean.
Oh, no, I hadn't heard that.
The governor's asking me to put in some restrictions.
Of course, it's just like the governor to come and stick their nose in our business. What kind of restrictions?
Water conservation quota for how much you can use per day. This never was a problem back where I came from. I'd like to invite you back home sometime and see for yourself.
Whereabouts is it that you came from, Sheriff?
Colorado.
They don't have any water shortages up in Colorado? I hear it's green instead of this barren rock.
We've got plenty of water coming down the hills.
Well, I imagine this quota is going to get all the townsfolk riled up. I suppose the governor isn't going to give you any help in enforcing that, huh? I think you're about to be an unpopular person in town.
Need to get on good sides, everybody, as soon as I can.
Sure do appreciate this water. It's good water.
Come and see me whenever you feel like change of scenery.
I will do that, Sheriff, but for now I better get back in this riverbed, find some gold.
I'll go check up on that mountain lion that you spoke of.
Thanks so much.
And she rides away.
I did objective 2, which was just to get you to agree to do something.
I tried to do the same thing to get you to go visit Colorado. I don't think you said yes. You get 2 dice, I get 2 hatred.
Good. Do you have your objective?
Yeah.
For scene 2, setting is inside the town a few days after our last scene. It's still super hot noontime, so the sun is beating down, extremely bright, and we are at the town well, and people are gathered around the well because they've just heard about the water quotas, and they were lining up to come get a cup of water before they were cut off. And Clem is just going to kind of walk up to the sheriff. Sheriff, do you need help controlling this crowd, or everything under control.
So far, so good. She puts her hand on the handle of her revolver.
Well, gee, I think these folks are just trying to get past you to get some water there out of the well. If you want to step aside.
I don't want a crowd near the well. People might get hurt. Back off.
There's elderly folks here just looking for water. What's the governor want to do with this quota? What is he trying to accomplish?
So that we survive the month.
Maybe I could just squeeze through and get a little bit of water and be on my way, be one less person for you to worry about.
Out of character, are you in line?
I'm talking to her on the side, I think.
Is it reasonable for her to think that you're trying to cut in line?
Absolutely.
Clems, you know I gotta treat everyone the same. If you want some water, you better go to the back of the line.
That beer I bought you didn't buy me any favors, huh?
I thought that mountain lion was my payment.
You're right. I think that did probably make us even. That was a good kill.
She nurses a wound in her shoulder. It's long healed. It's phantom pain.
All right. Well, I guess I'll go to the back of the line. It seems like you got everything under control up here.
Two bigger fellow try to push their weight around and get in front of the elderly. Augustus has to face them straight on. Hey, Charles, no, you can't do that. Better get back in line.
In the back of the line.
Yeah, everybody's falling, but they won't back down. It just says, I carry all of you guys' stuff all day, all around town. And I can't even get my share of water. They start to get rowdy, as you warned. Sheriff, her hand is still on the handle of the revolver. She lets them push her around a few times before she starts to push back. And there might be a scuffle.
Clem's gonna see that, and she will yell first and then walk towards the scuffle. Charles, get your butt to the back of the line before the sheriff needs to put a bullet in your butt. Since he's the ringleader, I think Clem is gonna walk up to Charles and maybe try to grab him by his shirt collar, pull him away from the fracas, hoping that his buddies are gonna slow down if he's not there.
Get your hands off me, Clems. Go back to your prospecting work. I have a real job here.
Well, I think that sheriff is going to take their duties a little bit more seriously than you are, Charles. And I'd rather not see anybody get shot here.
No, she won't. She's a softie.
Did you see that mountain lion she brought into town? Took care of that thing on her own.
I bet she just locked out and had someone else took the kill.
I saw the wound on her shoulder. It looked like she got up close. What are you trying to accomplish here, Charles?
I'm sick of this quota. Now step aside. I just need a drink. Augustus trips him. They start fighting.
So she's on the ground fighting?
Yeah.
Clem's gonna walk up and pull the second guy, I guess, off of the sheriff just to try to make it an even fight.
The two of you are fighting.
And Clem's gonna start trying to talk to the crowd. We're all upset about this quota. It's clearly not fair. The sheriff is just trying to do her job. I think we need to give her some space.
The crowd stays away from the fighting, but Charles won't give up. He's just gonna go straight for the well. Augustus pulls out her revolver and shoots once to the sky.
Clem is gonna duck, then crouch down. Easy, Sheriff. It might seem like he deserves to get shot, but he's just a laborer. He's not worth your time.
And Charles and his buddy try to get the townspeople to be against the sheriff, saying, "You are new here, Augie. This well and the water here used to belong to us, not to some fancy governor sitting in a mansion somewhere that we can't even reach. We work this land, we pay our dues, and we deserve as much water as anyone from your position. Who knows how much you get to drink per day?" The crowd starts talking among themselves, thinking that maybe Augustus do have a higher quota than the rest of them.
I think Clem is starting to see where Charles is coming from a little bit. She's going to kind of stand up and look at the sheriff. I think the way a lot of the townspeople are kind of accusatorily wondering how the sheriff is going to react to that. But she's not moving yet. She's still kind of wary of that pistol being out.
Augustus is slightly nervous about losing the support of the townspeople. She probably does get special treatment due to her position. Obviously, she doesn't need to stand in line. She says, "I may be new, but I've chosen to set my roots here 2 months ago. I drink the same water, I breathe the same air. I am accountable, just like the rest of you, if the water runs out. There must be order in town, and I will make sure there is order." She shoots a bullet at Charles' feet, next to it. Charles and Benji, get back in line. The rest of you, resume what you're doing. We need to survive this month.
I can see on Charles' face that he's listening to you, but he's really upset as they go to the back of the line. Maybe he's just acting like he's backing down for now and trying to get the element of surprise. While the gun's out, he's going to act compliant. Clem is going to see Benji and Charles kind of walk behind the sheriff. Would the sheriff let them out of her sight at this point?
Yeah, and she started to try to make the other townsfolk less afraid of her. She put away her revolver. She tried to soften her image by just chit-chatting with people as she walks up and down the line.
Charles and Benji is kind of talking amongst themselves and like pointing at the sheriff as if they're getting ready to attack. So Clem's watching all this happen. She's going to step up, sprint directly towards the sheriff as if to tackle the sheriff.
She would have been caught off guard, not draw her revolver though, because she sees it is Clem.
Put myself in between her and Charles and Benji, basically. They're coming with meaner intent than I am.
Augustus goes, Clems, what's the matter with you?
I'm going to cock my fist back and say, I'm sorry, I've got to do this. I'm going to punch the sheriff in the face once just to make it look like I'm kind of on the side of Charles and Benji so that they don't potentially kill Augustus.
She took the punch because she wasn't expecting it. Get a hold of your arm, twist it behind your back to arrest you. I don't know what's gotten into you. You do not disrespect the law like this. I have no choice but to put you under arrest.
I'll gladly let you take me away, Augie, but we just need the governor to know that we're not gonna take this quota line down. And Clem lets you handcuff her. She's compliant after this point.
What's going on with Charles and Benji?
They're confused. They're hesitant now that they're seeing the sheriff arrest somebody.
Deputy coming to relieve her, and she takes them away.
Which was your objective in that one?
Get them to do something for selfish reason.
Oh, I tried to take water. You didn't let me. So my objective was to try to get you to draw blood, but I don't know that you did. She didn't hit anybody with a bullet. We both failed. We both get one hatred.
Chapter 3. The town survived another month of water shortage, and now the governor has brought in a construction team from Colorado to start the dam building project upstream from the river near Jazzy Springs. And it is a celebratory event for the start of the project.
They'd have a groundbreaking, maybe. They just get a shovel and dig the first hole.
Yeah, okay. Let's have that be the event that everyone is at. So the governor is present, giving a speech to the townspeople and saying that this will ease the water shortage problem in the long run. But in the short term, he is asking for everyone to keep a tighter budget of their water usage, nearly shutting down the taverns. Sheriff is under the podium at the audience level to keep the peace. Do you want other individuals in the scene? Like, how many deputies do you think there will be?
I imagine there's like a half dozen, maybe just with the governor. And I'm sure the whole town is there, me and Charlie and Benji and a huge crowd.
Augustus is not going to make any speech. She's just going to be walking back and forth.
Clem's going to kind of squeeze between the crowd, walking up towards the front. She has a glass of ale in her hand that she bought from the saloon and brought out with her to the event. When she sees Sheriff Augustus, she'll offer up the glass and say, Sheriff, do you want a drink of this liquid gold?
Augustus pulls you aside and says, Clems, you know I'm working the clock. The governor doesn't want to see you.
You're always working, Augie, and me and some of these other town folks just came to tell the governor what we think about this damn plan.
I have a bad feeling about today's rally. I would rather that you're not here when chaos breaks out, and save the drink for yourself.
I've had a few already, Sheriff, but I will gladly finish this one off while I sit back and listen to what this governor has to say. We just hear like bureaucratic nonsense in the background.
We can do this. The town of Jazzy Springs can survive till the end of the year if we just put all our backs into it.
No, Sheriff, I've been here a long time and I've never seen the people of Jazzy Springs this uptight and anxious. I think you're right to have a bad feeling about today.
Just go on home. I'll be alright. I'll check up on you later. Don't you have more gold to find in the rivers?
There's always more gold to find, but I also find after a few ales that I'm way more fun to talk to. So I just feel like the governor might want to talk to me. Do you think you could help me get some one-on-one time with the governor?
She's hesitating, but the governor calls out to you. Miss Clementine, what a pleasure to see you again at one of my rallies. Come on up.
Clem will finish her drink and hand Sheriff Augie the empty glass. Walk onto the stage. Governor, I'm so glad you're here. I have a few things on my mind that I'd like to share with you.
Please, I'm sure you speak for the people here.
Yes, and the people are thirsty. The people need their ale to be much less costly than it is. We spend all our time in the sun, in the river, trying to find gold, and you tax us on that gold. All we really need at the end of the day is a cold glass of water or ale. And right now, you're trying to take that away from all of us over your air-conditioned mansion. And your construction crew is not even local. You brought in people from Colorado. What's up with that?
Because they will bring their own water and not use up our reserves.
Oh, well, that was a smart decision.
I've been conserving my usage of water just like the rest of the town. Isn't that right? He calls back to his secretary. She holds up a ledger. Nobody can see that. It's just a ledger of numbers. She's saying, yes, none of us at Dimension could drink more than 4 cups of water per day. They are ignoring the fact that you guys are sweating more, so you need more water intake.
Well, Clem is kind of wobbly a little bit on the stage now because she's had a few ales, and she's gonna try to squint at the ledger, try to make sense of whatever the secretary is holding up. She'll kind of stumble forward trying to look at the ledger. The secretary is going to catch her from falling, but she almost brings the entire group of people down on the stage.
The other deputies think you're trying to start something. They manhandle you onto the ground. Hold right where you are.
Clem's going to comply. She's going to put her hands up, say, I didn't mean anything by it. You all know what you're doing here is wrong. You can take me away. No more beer to drink out here anyway.
I run up the stage and try to get you to get off the stage and leave this rally. Clem, go home and sleep this off. You are not yourself today. I don't want to arrest you again.
Clem will take Augie's help getting to her feet, but she's just kind of pissed at everybody around her right now, and she's going to push Augie away a little bit and say, why don't you go home back to Colorado?
The crowd takes hint from that rallying cry. Charles and Benji jump off the stage and go after the governor. The deputies and Augustus has to defend the governor. Shots get fired. Who goes down?
Clem hears the shots echoing in her head. She checks herself out first and doesn't find any pulls that she can feel. She looks at the sheriff, who is still standing upright, but she sees Benji down on the ground. Charles is wailing over Benji because they were brothers, and I think Benji's not responding. I think Benji's pretty dead. The crowd on the ground scatters, but all the people that are on the stage and maybe directly around the stage are gonna kind of all get closer, and the governor's people are probably gonna all try to protect him. Clem is just kind of frozen.
Augustus shot Benji. She didn't realize that she had fired, but that doesn't matter. Charles gets back up to try to fight the sheriff to the death. The other deputies all come in and push him on the ground.
Clem's just going to kind of walk backwards slowly so as not to draw attention and then just take off running away.
My objective was to get you to walk out of an important event.
My objective was to get my rival to speak out against me, and I don't think I did. You wouldn't even call me a drunk or anything. I get 3 hatred.
Chapter 4. The time we strive toward peace. It's like one last chance to try to be on friendly terms again.
Saloon is called the Thirsty Nickel. We didn't come there together, but we both wound up sitting at the bar next to each other with a glass in front of us. I think we've gone on maybe a week or 2 after the murder. Clem is just going to kind of look out the side of her eye at Augie and just say that next round's on me.
The rest of the town has been giving the sheriff the silent treatment. No one is willing to talk to her, not even the barkeep. She's been pretty lonely. She smiles at Clementine, says, "Business is that good, huh? Still have money left to buy me around?"
I have another mountain lion I need you to take care of.
Let me guess. The governor?
That's a good guess.
No, I can't do that.
Clem will just nod and not say anything for a while, just continuing to drink and say, the rest of the town might be silent with you, but I think that they're still like planning on ways to get rid of you. I think you should have somebody watching your back.
Thinking of joining the force?
Never saw myself with a star on my shirt. I just love the thrill of the chase for that gold.
But by this point, I'm probably a little tipsy. Takes off the badge with the golden star on it. Says, "This looks like gold. I'm just interested in see how it looks on you." Tries to pin it on your shirt.
Clem will knock her hand away and take it from her, and she's a little tipsy herself, so she's going to put it on upside down or crooked a little bit at least. She'll look down at herself and back up and say, "No, this just doesn't feel right to me." Then she'll take it off and hand it back.
I play with the badge like a coin in my finger, hesitates for a few seconds before putting it back on her jacket. Colorado might not have water trouble, but it had other resources that people fought over. I grew up in those turbulent times. I just didn't want a repeat here. Wasn't expecting to be part of the problem.
I get that you were doing your job. You were doing what you were told to do. Really, I would not have been able to hold myself back from using my weapon sooner. Compared to you, I admired your restraint. But you see that the governor is wrong here, right? I mean, he's charged with protecting these people, and he's not doing that.
But that is not for someone like me to pass judgment on. Trades in her water skin of water to the barkeep and says, "How about beer for this amount of water? Doesn't count towards your quota."
The barkeep is probably making more money off water than beer right now. So I think he pours it into an empty glass, the water, and is really careful, like corks that up and takes real good care of the water bottle, and then sloshes some beer into the canteen and to replace it.
And hands you that water skin full of beer now. What do you say? You accept a beer from me today?
Wow, Sheriff, you really know the way to a girl's heart.
She laughs out loud.
Clem takes a huge swig out of that water skin.
She's gonna ask, "How are you with Charles?"
Well, he's not been coming out of his house very much since Benji died. I saw him once getting a shave at the barber, but he did not speak to me. Pretty stern-faced, not really saying much. But I don't think he would kill me like he would you if I were to show up at his door. Is there something you need in return for all this good beer?
Why don't you check up on him?
Yeah, I'd be happy to help you out with that, Sheriff. And thanks again for that beer. Maybe I'll sleep this off before I go visit him.
So what's your objective?
Get your rival to ask you for help. I thought I succeeded.
Mine was just one dive for you to accept the beer. Chapter 5, The Time It Came to Blood.
This one leads into the prologue, right?
Yeah, and then to the duel. Another 2 weeks later, there was several explosions in and near town upstream. The wells in town have been affected by these explosions that diverted the river flow. When the authorities arrived to the construction sites, all the foundation structures have been destroyed by explosives. People are anxious about their water supply being either contaminated or lost. Sheriff Augustus and a dozen deputies are on the scene at the dry riverbed. They are suspecting it has something to do with Charles and whoever he can muster from town. Someone in her team also wants to implicate Clementine. How would you like to arrive to the scene? Just as a spectator or for some other reason?
I'm coming with my tools. I heard that there was a commotion by the river and that it's gone dry, and I've just come to see if I can get some gold out of it.
And you might not be the only one who thinks that way. Your competitors are probably all coming too. Some of the deputies are trying to maintain order and push back on this wave of gold rush. I see you, Clementine, coming with your tools. In the heat of the moment, I got really annoyed with what you're doing right now. Come up to you and says, "This is not the time for your business. Leave."
Are you kidding, Sheriff? I heard Billy Ray say that one of those explosions exposed a huge vein of gold. We're just here doing our job, trying to support our families, our well being.
Don't tell me that one of my deputies is right, that the prospectors are involved too.
That those explosions made our job a little easier is probably coincidence. This has Charles' fingerprints all over it.
I ordered the deputies to pat down everyone that's coming to try to grab some gold. Make sure they're not carrying any explosives. We don't want another one while there are so many people here.
Clementine's going to get a little nervous because she did bring a little bit of the wire that would have been used for a dynamite explosion. It's just kind of part of her normal toolkit, but taken out of context, it could be incriminating to walk up to one of the deputies doing the pat downs and get in line, empty her pockets into the little basket that they have.
What do you think Charles is doing?
I think he's there watching, but maybe he's approaching us.
As a player, do you think he is responsible for the explosions?
Yes. Clem has not seen the look that she's seen in Charles' eyes ever before, so she knows that he's certainly capable of something crazy.
I'm going to confront him. Without evidence, I cannot convict you for the crime of destroying the damn building project. You have to come with me.
You've got no proof, Augie. I'm not going anywhere with you. You're gonna make me?
I did it once. I'll do it again.
You murdered my brother, Sheriff. Are you suggesting you'll do that again in front of all these people? I don't know that they'll let you get away with it a second time.
We will discuss this in court. She tries to manhandle him.
Charles would go for her gun. After a struggle, he tries to pull the gun, and Clem sees that she's gonna walk over and probably trying to pull Charles off the sheriff again like she did before.
They stand up a few feet apart, but Charles did manage to get the gun, and he is pointing at me. I try to shield you. Charles, put that down.
Clementine has her sifting plate thing in her hand, and so she's just going to swing that towards Charles' hand and his arm, try to knock the gun away. I don't know that she's as strong as Charles is either. Charles fires the weapon, but it's misdirected a little bit.
Gunshot hit the same wound that Augustus had in the beginning with the mountain lion. She remains standing, but her whole left shoulder is messed up, and blood gets all splattered towards you. She turns around and asks, Clems, are you right?
Clem is just going to, check herself for holes again and say, I think so, but your shoulder is on the ground.
Don't you see? This is what comes out of chaos. I'm afraid I have to take him down.
Clem is going to catch Charles by surprise. I think he's just surprised that he just shot somebody, then knock the gun down so the gun's on the ground.
I go for the gun, picks it up, and points it at Charles.
And Clem is just going to back up and say, remember what you told me in the bar about not wanting to be on the wrong side.
I am now on the right side.
We're kind of in a big circle now. Everybody's just watching to see what's going to happen. And Clem is kind of tiptoeing back for a while. And then at some point she realizes that she hasn't pulled the trigger yet. And so Clem's going to start to very slowly walk towards Augie and just say, this isn't who you are. You're not going to shoot somebody in cold blood, whether he made this mess or not.
If he would go with us, if he would turn himself in, it doesn't have to come to blood.
Charles is still hesitant to accept this proposition. She's going to walk to the sheriff, but look at Charles and say, I think your decision is between taking a bullet right here and standing before a judge in a couple weeks. You really want to push this forward here. Clem's going to reach for the gun that the sheriff has pointed and try to point it down and take it out of her hand if she can.
I let Clementine push down the hand that's holding the gun. Charles gets up and says, the judges are in bed with them. They drink the same water, not ours. They don't care if our rivers run dry because they always have a home to go back to. There is no peace until you will come face to face with my brother in hell. goes rams into Clementine and Augustus. Becomes a whole tangled mess.
So Clem's just gonna put her butt into the sheriff and wrestle the gun away. And just as Charles gets there, she shoots him in the knee. He seems like the most immediate threat, so I think she's just trying to get him on the ground.
He nurses his wounded knee and just screams obscenities at you. Says, "You must be in bed with them. With her, probably."
Clem is just feeling cornered right now, and so she's pointing the gun in every direction, including at the sheriff.
I say, there's a reason why Jazzy Springs have survived this long. Not because of everyone just getting what they want all the time. There must be some order to things. I'm that order. She's calling out for deputies to come arrest Charles. And she's trying to take the gun away from you. If you don't join the right side, I don't know how to protect you when the law comes down on you.
Clem is just kind of spinning in a circle, pointing the gun at everybody who could potentially threaten her. She's going to look at the sheriff and say, "There's no order where gold is concerned, Sheriff." And she's just keeping the gun up. She's not going to give it up easily. She's going to keep it pointed at the sheriff.
She just says, "I have nothing left to say. Let's do the objective." I didn't get it. They were able to renounce a belief they held before.
Mine was to take something away from the rival. So I was trying to take the gun. I didn't mean to shoot it.
2 hatred. It was a time of internal conflict.
We stand upon a dry riverbed.
I remember when you fought for the right side.
This feud started when you followed orders from the governor.
My name is Augustus. I am the sheriff of Jazzy Springs, and I cannot allow your actions to go unchallenged.
My name is Clementine. I am a prospector, and I cannot allow your actions to go unchallenged. We decide before we roll whether to use the hatred or not. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's what the rule says, but you still roll them separately. I'll channel hatred. She lost too much blood. She's not thinking right. She feels so betrayed. Trying to do good for the town. Everybody hates her.
I think Clem is upset enough that she's got to channel it too. I think she's seeing like her hometown kind of get ripped away from her here and feels like everybody's against her.
So I've got 5 hatred and 4 dice.
I have 8 dice and 4 hatred, so I'm just doing the 8 first.
I'm gonna pick red. You don't have a 6, but we're gonna roll our hatreds.
I've got 4 hatred dice.
I will roll green.
I'll roll purple. I still only have 5s. This dice scoring is intense. So you lose your 6 and 5s.
So my highest is 2 4s. Your highest is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 5s.
Clem is pointing the gun at the sheriff. She's just going to say, "I never wanted it to come to this. I hope you get to see Colorado again one last time."
Before I go back home, I still have one last duty to carry out. I ran toward you and tried to take the gun back from you.
As the sheriff gets closer, she's just going to squeeze the trigger, and she's going to hear the metal ting of the sheriff's badge taking the bullet dead on. And horrified, she's just going to kind of like hold up her hands and drop the gun, not sure if the bullet went through the badge or not.
She doesn't even feel it due to the pain on her shoulder. Just wobbles once and goes down to pick up the gun and holsters it. She's just gonna stare you dead in the eye. Miss Clementine, you're under arrest for obstruction of justice. And she falls.
I do think Clem is going to get pinned for the explosions, though. Charles will walk away from this, ironically. Scott maybe roll away. Maybe he can't walk anymore. And that was harder than I thought it was. This game seemed kind of straightforward to me, just reading the rules, but it's easy to get kind of lost in those scenes and not pay attention to your goalposts, which I think it's a sign of a good game that I wasn't constantly trying to win it.
I needed to make them friendly enough, but still have opposing views.
I think I was a little wishy-washy on some of that. Made it harder on you.
But thank you for trying at the end to hold on to her. I'm not sure if Clementine is greedy, but just that she is a professional gold prospector. It's her job. Because if both of us don't try to compromise, it's hard to decide why they are enemies.
I didn't know my character well enough to know what side she was on at all times. So I think that meant something different to me at various points of the story.
We both tried to make it so that it's the outsider versus the local person. So your loyalty to your community needed to outweigh the friendship with this outsider, which was harder. My character also had the trouble of doing good for a community, whether that means oppressing them or disobeying her superiors.
I thought you did a good job of keeping the internal conflict and that kind of thing at the fore.
Once I figured that Charles doesn't show himself out anymore, that is prime candidate for terrorists creating bombs.
Did you think he was responsible too?
I was hoping for it because otherwise it wouldn't tie into the comment that Clementine said about him.
I thought later, after saying that maybe Clementine should have been responsible. That could have really turned the sheriff against her at the end. But
there wasn't enough build-up since Benji wasn't close to Clementine. If it was Clementine's family member, then
they were secret lovers that nobody knew about in town. It's amazing how big of a world we built, though, just in a couple hours. You know, talking amongst ourselves is cool.
The science of that near the end, I don't think was very accurate, where the explosions.
To be honest, the science of a dry riverbed never made any sense during tonight. So it seemed like a cool place. I didn't really know how we would get there.
Yeah, in the beginning I thought it was all used up. That's why there was more urgency to conserve water. But if they were still drinking beer 2 weeks earlier, I don't think the water would evaporate that soon. Clementine's always buying her drinks.
It was not established where Clementine's money came from.